Since I was a child in the land that I was born, when I walked past religious institutions, all the sculptured figures I saw never resembled my physiology. It wasn't arousing my curiosity yet. It seemed normal and etched in my thought process. So there was no reason to question that consistency. I attended primary school and I was indoctrinated by my religious classes not to question but obey and accept wholeheartedly the figures as they appear. These were ancient figures, so why would a recently arrived citizen of the planet like myself have any doubts about their authenticity? After all, they're in stone to last until time immemorial. So I accepted indoctrination because they were everywhere. So therefore, they had to be accurate. I became a little older and I migrated to the US, pretty much educated in my religious understanding and accepting the doctrine as I was taught. Embarking on new grounds to discover revelations, I essentially began to observe a similar pattern in all the religious institutions that I saw. Once again reminding me what I had learned back in my land of birth. So I reached the same conclusion that this is a worldwide norm, and don't question the accuracy of the appearance of the sculptured religious monuments or statues. Unfortunately, my curiosity began to surface and I started to wonder about the artists who sculptured the work. Were they actually present and observed this sainted individual performing this outer world deed? Was he or she really there? And if they were present, who else witnessed this particular event? Or did they use a model or just plain imagination? These are legitimate questions, I said. Another observation I made was that many of these sculptured figures resemble quite a bit one to the other. Obvious next question was, why didn't any of them have a different ethnic appearance? A single-heartedly look. Isn't humanity more diverse? Why the overemphasis on one ethnic group? What purpose does it serve? Is it only one part of humanity saintly and the rest unsaintly? I believe our Creator. I truly believe our Creator is much wiser than these absurd machinations or machinations, whichever way you want to say it. Man interpreting his beliefs above and beyond the Creator's intentions. So I started to analyze further these perceptions, like geography, history, as written and world events. As I embark in this quest, much like my childhood hero Johnny Quest, one of the luminous questions was, how was it that most of the saintly figures seemed to be from one region of the planet, and the biblical events took place in a different geographical location? So I asked whether they had immigrated there and abandoned their original land of birth. And how did they arrive there? Was it by walking, or on a bicycle, or on a horse, a carriage, a boat? Unfortunately, no one was able to clarify that quandary. The next irritating question was the individual who witnessed such an event, right, local or immigrant? If local, did he speak the same language or needed an interpreter for the saintly individual? And if so, where is the interpreter from, and was he paid to do this interpretation? Did he have an interest in this situation? And if the witness had immigrated there also, what was his reason for going there? Was he expecting a saintly performance or event? I know this gets a bit complicated, but imagine if you would have been able to record this event with a cell phone. But of course, unfortunately, they didn't exist at that time. I guess, it could really get insane, this whole. By the way, another peculiar observation: why did the saintly individual immigrated to the biblical lands? Did he or she thought about the possibility of the event occurring right there in their land of origin? So they wouldn't have to go to the trouble of traveling thousands of miles through treacherous terrain. Imagine that, this is you going through, unknown lands, and the rain, and it gets cold, and what are you going to eat? What are you going to do? Number 2, 1, 3, all of the above. Now imagine all of this without a passport or a visa, and being allowed to reside in a new land. Isn't that wonderful? Great. Without government interference, and to top it off, be a main character in a sacred book. That's heavy, But, I have a final question. Because I could really go on, and, it may sound at times a bit silly. How is it that the biblical stories took place in a foreign land, away from the papal, the Papa, seat of power in Rome, which is really very perplexing to me. To further make matters complicated, hold on, folks, don't be angry at me, but this is a real question I have. And I know it may sound a little bit strange, but, when I look, like at those seated in the Last Supper, in that majestic drawing, they were not integrated in that part of the planet. I'm telling you, I really wish they had had a cell phone then, because it would have made it easier to answer my strange confusion that started to creep into my mind since adolescence. Please feel free, because I'm not going to charge you, and help me, understand this religious play clearly. No one seems to care about my faulty tale or questions. It makes some of us uncomfortable, like asking these type of questions. But I want to make sure, and this has become very important to me, and maybe to some of you, I'm not, maybe you don't think the way I do, but this is something that, I really don't want to insult our Creator's intentions and intelligence. This is very important to me. So I hope that everything that I had learned as a child and what I seen as I walked these fabulous institutions, that they're all correct. Peace and blessings and love to all.